I'm Frank Vaughn. It's October 8, 2025, and I made a cardinal sin yesterday when I put out yesterday's video. First off, the thumbnail didn't have my face in it, which created an algorithmic penalty. And I also used a word that ends in "iside" and starts with "sui." I'm pretty sure that hurts too because it had a very high click-to-impression ratio, and yet it didn't go anywhere. But I think it was an important video. It talked about China, and I would encourage you to go check it out. First, we're going to talk about the current thing, which is Lich and Barber getting sentenced yesterday. And I want to do this a little bit differently because this, you see on screen, was a scene on CBC last night around 11 p.m. Again, low traffic. This is what CBC does. They put splashy front pages together that they don't want to actually put together. It runs against their political will. They put it together late at night, and it's visible late at night. But then you go there this morning, and the article has disappeared, and you have to scroll. First, we got Penguin from the Batman movies, another RCMP investigation that led to nothing. This time it was finding his right to a fair trial was violated by police failing to retain records related to allegations stemming from the 1990s. I should actually make that point very quickly right now because we are going to get through some stuff that's been sitting on my desktop today. RCMP closes investigation into alleged Chinese police stations in Montreal-area federal police force, not recommending charges, defamation lawsuit ongoing. Many of the most important investigations that the RCMP engages in when it comes to China and triads, money laundering, end up getting closed from on high. This is a tendency, but let's just set that aside for a minute and we'll continue. If we scroll down this page, we don't see Lich or Barber anywhere. Can you see it? Have I missed it? Is it just gone? Completely disappeared? This news that's less than 24 hours old? They told us that these were terrorists. They told us that they were the worst people on earth and that they needed jail time. They created this impression that it was the most important story, and now it's completely disappeared. I can't see it anywhere. Maybe I'm missing it, but there certainly isn't a picture or a splashy headline or anything of that nature. And the reason for that is the decision was not politically useful. We're going to go to my profile over on X, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. A person asked the question, how is it that they were able to prosecute them when the courts ruled they overstepped their power? So them, in this case, is Lich and Barber, and the courts ruled that the government overstepped their power when they invoked the Emergencies Act and suspended everybody's so-called civil rights, your fake civil rights, as I've said ad nauseum on this channel. I'm not going to repeat it today. And I said the question has a point. The government was also guilty of crimes, yet only Lich and Barber were sentenced. Justin Trudeau is enjoying his life. His party is still running the nation into the ground. Instead of being sentenced, our leaders are unaccountable. They are very unaccountable. They suspended the so-called highest law in the land, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, were found wrongly to have done so. Now, I admit this whole situation is still before the courts with appeals, could go all the way to the Supreme Court, could be dragged out for a long time, which I think is the intention because it's bad press. Another post that I made, now that Lich and Barber are dealt with, when do we find out what Trudeau and the Liberal cabinet get in terms of sentence for violating the Charter illegally? I should have said suspending the Charter illegally. They violated it and suspended it. They invoked the Emergencies Act, were found by the courts to have wrongly done so. When is their sentencing? And this has carried a high degree of resonance on Twitter or on X because it's important to people. This is a fundamental question. Are your rights fake or are they real? And we know the answer. They're fake. They're literally fake. They're subject to government approval. They can suspend them any time they want. And in another X post, I summarized this. I'm pretty sure it was known that the prosecution's demands for Barber and Lich were outrageous, and however much they might have wanted to bury both for political reasons, they couldn't do it for other political reasons. Violent criminals getting repeat slaps on the wrist. We're letting violent criminals back out on the street. There is no sense of justice in this country. We got 3.9 million visa overstays. We got new Canadians, immigrants, led into this country that weren't properly screened, in the tens of thousands who have criminal records that they brought with them from other countries. We have a completely corrupt and denuded justice system, but they're politically expedient enough to know that if they had have put these people in jail for years while they let people who violate children out on bail to reoffend, or we protect them when they've served a minimal sentence and they're released on the street. Their privacy is protected. We carry a database, an offender database, that really only serves to protect the identities of offenders and protect their rights so that they are free to roam the streets and reoffend again. So I think for that reason alone, the courts, which might have otherwise wanted to put them in jail for an extended sentence, couldn't act in that regard. And I'm going to show you another image. This is how judges donate politically in Canada. Judges donating to each political party as a percentage of unique donors. The source is Investigative Journalism Foundation, Bryce Hall National Post. If totals exceed 100%, it's due to a small handful of judges who donated to more than one party. 76.3% to the Liberal Party, 17.9% to the NDP, and another 5% to the Greens, leaving only 22% for the Conservative Party. When I tell you that the judiciary in this country is owned by the Liberal Party of Canada and the left, believe it. Moving on to Carney's visit down south. He came back with nothing, as much as they want to spin it as a positive outcome. He came back with nothing except more endorsements from Donald Trump. That's right. Mark Carney has been endorsed by Donald Trump since before he ever took office. Donald Trump is on the record as saying that Carney was better for him because he would hasten the decline and destruction of Canada. I even said that in the last election, that there was an argument to be made that voting for Mark Carney was actually the fastest way to be absorbed by the United States, if that indeed was your desired goal. I personally voted for the CPC because I knew that we had to exhaust the CPC option. We had to see what they would do in power before we could move on to greater things. Instead, in Canadian fashion, we've received this huge political delay in prolonging the pain of this Liberal government and not getting onto the pain of a Conservative Party government. But I digress. We also want to keep in the back of our minds that the Liberal Party of Canada still has a minority government. They're dependent on the NDP for their power, and the NDP has been signaling that they might actually return to their roots, which is opposing the Liberal Party from the left. On screen is a post I made last night highlighting one Laura Babcock, who's a very liberal account. He's a world-class leader. This is Trump on Carney. He's a man who knows what he wants. I'm not surprised he won substantially, and he's probably more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, but he's a tough negotiator. And Laura Babcock says, I think I just heard Pierre Poilievre and the CPC hearts break. All of a sudden, the words of Donald Trump are music to the ears of the left. They told us Orange Man was bad. They told us elbows up. But now that Trump is again complimenting their chosen leader, they're applauding like seals because they have no center. They have no moral compass. They have no base in reality. They have nothing firm that they're standing on. They have no firm values. They have no conviction. It's just about the team. They treat politics like team sports. Carney's running a $70 billion deficit without a formal budget. We haven't had a vote on it. It's being done through the Governor General's office. It stinks to high heaven. The country's in a ruinous state. Inflation is far higher than the government wants you to believe. The parliamentary budget officer, who Carney appointed, came out and said Canada's going to be a failed state in less than a year and a half if we don't make drastic changes today. The guy that he appointed to the job said that. And Laura Babcock is just applauding the words of Trump. That's what they're down to. And so I said, now the lemmings are uniting around Trump and his further endorsement of Carney. These people are rooted in nothing but whatever advances the Liberal cause at the expense of Canada. Again, team sport. Meanwhile, Carney is bankrupting the country. I can't add more to it. And even though you see up here, Carney raised Keystone XL pipeline revival in meeting with Trump. Now it's reduced to a sub-article. It's the most important thing, but instead we have the Penguin on screen. Sorry, I guess you haven't even seen him yet. See? It's like Penguin out of Batman. We're still talking about this Nygaard guy. Carney raised Keystone XL. Carney's committed to net zero. The only reason we're talking about energy at all is due to the political pressure coming from the West. He has to look like he's doing something, and he's also just has a minority government. Until he has a 4-year solid majority, he could be taken out by the opposition, uniting and voting this government down. So he has to make some noise. But he told us he's committed to net zero. His portfolio is all about net zero. His whole life is about reduction of carbon and making money and pressuring businesses to invest in the way that he demands that they invest. Very similar to what Doug Ford's doing when it comes to Diageo and their booze in this country, basically saying that if you don't do exactly what we say, and you keep these bottling plants open and you keep paying the wages that we demand you pay, we'll take all your booze off the shelves. Putting a chill over any foreign investment in this country. I talked about it in detail yesterday. These guys believe that government's job is to dictate what private capital can do inside of our borders. Canada's becoming a capital prison. I actually talked about this a little bit yesterday on X, because not only if you've invested in this country, the government is now actively threatening to not let you leave, to basically make you do what they say, to seize your capital. There's also this thing known as exit taxes. So if you are here and you've made money here and you have savings here and you've worked your entire life and you see the totalitarian doom surrounding you and you see the devaluation of our dollar, you see the rising debt of all levels of government, you realize that's a liability and a claim against your savings and you want to get out, we have these massive exit taxes to make sure we take all of your money on the way out the door. It's really tragic what Canada is coming down to, and I'm not sure a lot of people on the left realize how bad it actually is. In fact, I know they don't. They're not even paying attention. This is John Witherspoon, if that's even a real name. His bio on X says, strong human, animal and environmental rights advocate, proud Canadian, proud to and loud to be gay and liberal. Apparently he's from Alberta, Canada. And this is the kind of stuff that he's posting. I'm not going to read it. You read it. This is the left in Canada. You see so much of this. This guy is an example of the loudmouth left. They don't want us alive. They just want their team to win. They have no financial literacy whatsoever. They have no idea how bad a state Canada's in. They have no idea, in spite of the fact that they're tripping over addicts everywhere they walk in their cities, which are in perpetual decline. They have no idea how corrupt and criminal Canada's become, as violent criminals are getting slaps on the wrist, as a man who violates a 3-year-old in their own bed has advocates saying that he just needs understanding. Second-time offender, repeat offender. He should have never been back out in the first place. If you do these things to a kid, you just have no place in society. You should be removed by all means possible. Instead, back east, he's got advocates saying, no, he just needs to be rehabilitated. As if you can rehabilitate such evil. This is evil. This is what evil looks like. This is the face of evil. This is the face of the left in Canada. And in saying that, it brings me back to the point that maybe it's not a left-right dichotomy. It's a good-evil dichotomy. There are some people out there that just have no moral compass whatsoever. And unfortunately, they support the people who are in power, who are destroying this country. It's a bipartisan issue, right? We often call Doug Ford a liberal, but he is the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party. And though he governs like a liberal, maybe that's the wrong terminology. Maybe it really is just down to good versus evil, or globalists versus people who actually care about Canada. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to everybody who supports the channel via the time you spend viewing the videos, by the time you spend reading the tweets, by the time you spend listening to me, by the donations that you make, by the likes that you give, the shares that you give. We're a non-monetized operation. It's all made by you. Its utility is you. And if you didn't see yesterday's video, I would encourage you to go watch that. I don't think it showed up in many feeds at all because I didn't obey the rules of the algorithm, which we struggle against because YouTube doesn't make any money off us and we don't make any money off them. I'm Frank Vaughn. I'll see you in the next one.